How many posts do we have here that are financially sound? I'm very impressed. That is very good, because I can tell you that we have many posts that are not financially sound. And this is some of the areas that we struggle with as district commanders, division commanders, and I know for a fact the department does, because I can't tell you how many times we hear about it. But how many of you would like to get a little bit more? There you go. I know a couple of years ago, as the post commander, we had the Boise State and what have you, and it was interesting because we would only send 3. I went around and started talking to folks. It was the first year that we sent 12. And I did it in a matter of only about 5 days. Only thing you do is just have to ask. And I can't tell you how many individual contributors are more than welcome to do that, especially our leaders that are out there in our public eye, such as your mayors, your council members, with me it's my township directors and what have you, your sheriff's department. People like that are willing to donate. So one of the things we're going to talk about is what are the areas where we can actually do some fundraising, and how do we do a fundraising? So the first thing you got to do is you got to be able to develop a plan. You got to develop the plan. You just can't do it by yourself. You just can't go around and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Am I on? Okay. Just by doing that, you're going to have to be able to project a plan just as you do with a business plan. Can you do it individually? No, it goes with a committee. You got to have a committee. You got to have key people in there that can do a fundraiser. How many have been involved in fundraising as far as a committee goes, as people who organize it? Okay? That's good. I'm really glad to see that, because there's where your resources are. People who have done that as far as the fundraisers, and people who have been involved with fundraisers. You know, just in the past couple of months, we broke our barrier where that we could begin the Vietnam Monument at the state capitol. So March 24th and 25th is going to be the groundbreaking ceremony. And it's a huge place there, okay? Took many years, took a lot of leadership, and we had the right people to do it. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about creating a plan, creating a strategy based on, you know, the programs that we have that goes around within our community. So we hope that we'll be able to do that and get you some ideas, all right? So with that, who's ready? I'm ready. I'm ready. So, and you know, we're going to take a look at what we've accomplished and what have you. I was hoping that we'd have the financial part of it, you know, like auditing done, because I can tell you right now, the first thing you got to be is you got to be transparent. If there's anything that you don't take from here, you got to be transparent. How you spend those funds and what you're going to be doing with those funds is very critical. All right. So I was taking a look, and I took a course through the American Fundraiser Institute. What I found out was very interesting as far as your contributors. Individual groups is about 83% of all funds is through individuals. Basically, on average, an individual, when you take a look at the population of the United States, spends about $5,000 each person will spend in a fundraising and a giving part. The other part of that is your corporate foundations, such as corporate sponsorships or whatever. You know, we try to get those too, because those are your big monies. All right? And those are about 11%. But it's very time consuming and it's very detailed oriented. And the other part is governmental giving, which is about 6%. So just to give you an idea, those are the type of fundraisers that we do, that you can target to. The I hit the button. One thing I want to say about the scholarships, that is your like a foundation or something like that. A lot of times they have clauses in there where that the monies can be spent at a particular time, all right, or how it's going to be spent. Kind of like we call it in-kind giving. Okay. So what are some of the areas that we can do? You've got events that you can do, and the major strength about that is the fact that it's very easily to implement, and use the events to start your donors, to get the relationships that you have, because that's what you want to do. You're not looking just for a one-time. You're actually trying to promote a substantial period there where that you've got now a database of people who you can go to when you have an event or one of those type of things. Okay, so it's very easy to implement. It does take time though, and it's got to be done, correctly, I should say. All right. Your fundraising plan has got to be clearly spell out, the big picture, as you say, within what you're wanting to do. What is it that you're trying to promote? Such as Boys State. Okay, we hear about Boys State a lot. What about oratorical contest? Okay, start in where that the strengths are, how it teaches your students on the government. Get them leading into it, whether it's educational. And a lot of times people will donate to there. All right? Lays out the action. Some of the things that you're going to need is going to be the action. What is it that it's going to take for me to reach that goal? Okay? You just can't say, well, I'm going to do a barbecue cook-off right now, and we're going to have it on Saturday afternoon, and we're just going to do it. You got to give out steps. How are you going to advertise it? Who's going to be doing the work? A lot of times, your volunteers. How many times have we seen the same people doing the same thing every single time? You got to be able to get new people involved. And a lot of times, this is one way that you can do it. How much is it going to be able to raise? Okay? And what are the sources that you're going to have? And also, how are you going to do it? Okay? So a lot of times it's just more than, let's say I'm doing a barbecue, okay? Sam's Club, believe it or not, they're very friendly, at least in our area there, where that they'll donate meats and what have you, and breads, just different areas there that you can do. And it also gives your fundraising efforts a direction and a clear process to follow, okay? These are going to be areas where you can measure how well or where you're lacking, where you need to put resources in, okay? It's one of the areas that you really need to have is a process and some way to measure how you're doing. So that's what you're going to have to do, okay? Uh-oh.
You killed it.
I killed it. All right. So with that, I would like to say that you're going to have to maximize every resource that you have and be flexible, because you may have to modify your plan a little bit, because let's say I'm within, I've got this function that's coming up in about 2 months, and all of a sudden I realize, ooh, I'm doing this fundraiser such as a pancake breakfast or whatever. I forgot plates. The paper products. Sometimes, that works out pretty good. You got to have something to put it on there. Just little things sometimes can actually come up to a major part, and that's happened. Don't worry. That's how I know that. So try not to overlook anything. That's why brainstorming, when you're doing this, is absolutely vital. Brainstorm ideas. Brainstorm the areas that you need to go through, okay? Prioritize the opportunities, events, and the actions, okay? So what you need to do is also prioritize what it is that you need to do early on and also at specific times. Avoid repeating the old strategies and the old mistakes. After every fundraiser, the one thing that you should do is have an after-action review. AAR is what I call it. What are the strengths? What worked? What didn't? If it didn't, what can we do better? Keep that in mind. All right? So that way it's always going. I do a flea market at the Woodlands, and we're going on our 15th year of doing it. After every single one of them, we have an action plan where that we review every single time. Okay? That's one of our major fundraisers that we have in our area there. And, so we do. We find out things so we can do better. Just like you say, every time you read the book or read the officer's manual, you learn something. Every event, you learn something new that that you can improve on. So, that's one of the things. The other thing, especially having the committee and a committee chair, I know the commander talked about it, delegate. Don't try to do it yourself. The person that does it by himself is so stressed when it comes time for the event and leading up to the event that I can tell you, you're not going to have a very successful event. So please delegate. Try to get people, and try to get those key people who can help you. Remember, I asked, how many of you done fundraisers? You may not have been the chair of it, but you participated in a point where that you can bring a lot of vital information back to that committee and to help. Okay? So, what do you need to do before developing fundraising plan? These are some of the things that we're going to be talking about here in just a second. I'm hitting the wrong button. All right. So think about these 2 points that we got here, okay? And what are some of the fundraisers that you could do, all right? That would be like a similar event that you've been at, okay? Bring up new ideas, all right? I've been involved with Hurricane Sandy for the past, 2 months, and I've been up in New Jersey. I think I've been basically a permanent station up there now for the past 2 months. And you do hear about all these fundraisers, please donate, and stuff like that. So one of the things you can do is when you do have things that happen in your community, think of ideas that you can help out your community. One of the things that we do is we're supposed to promote and be involved in our community. And this is where we as the American Legion can really step up to the plate and be involved by finding out maybe a school or civic center or whatever needs, just something as simple as maybe a computer or something like that. All right, be involved and maybe ask them if they can do a fundraiser in their event. We have the Cancer Institute or the Cancer Society. We have the, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We have Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. These are areas where that you can do fundraisers for these, different types of organizations. One, it gets your name in. It's very easy because somebody else is basically doing it for you. You're just assisting a lot of times. But also it gets your name out where that if you need specific things, such as, I need a new deep fryer for our kitchen, or I need something so that I can start feeding other things. I know 490, I'm just going to use a couple of examples, but they have they feed a lot of the people over there from the VA center, and they do a lot there. But let's say that, they need some to upgrade. It's called a capital fundraiser. Is it worthwhile? Absolutely, because it promotes veterans programs that we have. So capital versus, fundraisers as far as charitable, both very much, needed and very much warranted. Like I said, there's a lot of things that you can do there where that if they needed snacks or something like that, you can do that as far as a charitable, or if they need, capital expenses or capital things that you can do. Okay? One of the questions that came about to me was like, how do you do a golf tournament? And it's where that, okay, that's great, but how many of here has participated in a golf tournament? Okay? Would it work in your community? Some places it doesn't. I know if I go back to my hometown, it wouldn't, because it's a heavy blue collar area there. And not many, there's only one golf course in the entire county. So can it work? Yes, it can. The only thing I was trying to get at is not all fundraisers work in your community where it would work in another, such as where I live, the golf tournaments and what have you is a huge. But the problem is trying to get the golf course to sponsor that, it's very difficult because they're booked up. You know, so that's some of the things that you're going to go through. So one size necessarily doesn't fit all right? So that's what I wanted to get at, and especially think about your specific community. Where can the fundraisers happen, okay? Be able to concisely communicate why, okay? Why am I a member of the American Legion? Why is the program that I'm promoting so important? We talked about American Legion Baseball. There are several pro baseball that are out there that has been American Legion Baseball before. We've talked about our oratorical contest. Something that kind of got to me was the fact that we don't start teaching our Constitution until they're a junior in high school. We started teaching, you know, back in our days, you know, for a lot of us, we learned the Constitution way before then, in junior high to freshman in high school and parts of government. So this is where that you can actually promote your areas there to get people involved in getting the scholarships, especially as they promote into the oratorical contest. Boys State, we've talked about it before, outstanding program, and other part. Child welfare. Right now, this is where that we as the American Legion can really help the families in Connecticut. Okay? This is number one. And this is where we can actually help those. I know the area there because, like I told you, Hurricane Sandy is, you know, there's a pretty big area there. But make sure that you understand, we are the American Legion. We believe in our community. We help our state, and also where we can go with our, you know, with our nation. So basically, tell your story. I can't stress, we have so many stories within the American Legion that is so positive. Just like we were just talking about, the VA, you know, Veterans Administration benefits, you know, the GI Bill, everything else. You know, if I took a show of hands, I would probably say probably about 90% of you has taken advantage of the VA benefits that we now enjoy, if not every one of us, from GI loans to school. Okay? Fundraising cause. Be able to briefly communicate what specific project and service is and why. A lot of times we go out there and we say, well, we need. That's fine, but why? Why do I need this new building? Why do I need the, you know, this specific, you know, a kitchen within there, okay? A lot of times when, you know, it's unfortunate, but a lot of times we hear, okay, we got bingo and we got a bar that sustains us for financials. Can't go that anymore, okay? I know our post and 2 other organizations I belong to, we don't even have a building. We meet at a community center. But what I can tell you is that we're heavily involved in the community and we're recognized in our community. And that's where we belong. So when we do have a specific organization or an event, people recognize us. So I just want to make sure that you're aware, okay? So you got to be able to do that. And make sure that the monies that you do collect are specifically for the event that you're doing. Don't tell them you're going to do it in a general fund. Hey, I'm going to have this fundraiser event. It goes over to my general fund so that I can send people to, a convention. Hey, it's happened. And they get upset because nobody donates. Okay? So, be specific. Make sure it's within, a worthwhile event that's happening and it's a need within the community. Okay? But you got to make sure that they understand why it is so important. So when we say, the downstream side of it, why is it so important that we have it within our community? Why is it important that we raise funds for the specific cause, okay, or the program? Is so that we can say, hey, if we don't have it, this is what you're missing out. Just think, your boy or your girl or whatever could have this scholarship if they would participate. I would love to give out $1,000 or $2,000, and I'll be honest with you, it'd be great if I could come up and say, hey, you know what, if you participate and what have you, I can give you a $10,000 scholarship. Can it be done? It can. It can be done. So, just some of the things to be thinking about, especially as you're going through. Did I miss something? What makes the American Legion so viable? We're family oriented. That's a good part. And I can't tell you, within the American Legion family of exactly what it is that we do. Okay? Because as a family unit, we're strong. But as an individual, we're not. So just let them know, hey, we're there, we're for you, and these are where we can bring strengths in. All right? Summary. In the financial, in your business plan or in your fundraising plan, as many of you probably go through a business side of it, where that an executive summary is always at the very beginning. But always remember, it's the last thing that you write. All right? So make sure that it's there. Make sure that the purpose is anticipated. What is the goal? Make sure it's exposed there. So with that, you're going to know how much you're going to need. The total anticipated budget, as far as what it is that you're going to have to spend to make the money. You boys, some of you have probably heard, sometimes you got to spend money to make money. Okay, I've heard it a couple times where you got a fundraiser that's happening there, but yet they're spending $1,000 or $2,000 out of the fundraiser. That's fine. It's called administrative cost. It's the cost of making, of doing that. So, it is okay. And make sure that you go over there with other information that you need to have and to make successful of that. Usually it's broken down into sections. First of all, you do an introduction. You always go over there, find out what the purpose is of the fundraiser, what it is that you're accomplishing, and also kind of give an idea of what your goal is, or what have you done before to make, that you've done. How do I want to say this? Think about what you've done in the past that you've done successfully, and put it in the plan. One of the things you want to do is that you want to make sure that you make yourself in a positive way, okay? So this is where, going out into the community and be involved is so critical. Right now, like I told you, you got to be transparent. I can't stress that enough. First of all, being that you're nonprofit, you're C19, it's on the internet anyway. Your 990 is published. I can go up there and find out exactly what you do. But the other part, just like you just heard, the post-consolidated post-report is very critical, because that is a key on what you've done in the past and what you, as the American Legion, do in your community, where that you can use that into your benefit on what it is that you're going to be doing. Okay? So, These are areas that should be on the radar. You know, where does your money go, and what projects do you currently spend money on? Okay. Fundraising needs. What additional service projects would you like to do this year? Okay. And what are the costs involved with those projects? All right. So some of the things you got to realize is, like I said, it's not a month from now, but it's always ongoing. Make sure that you understand that if you want something perpetual and it's going to go every year or something like that, one of the things that that comes to mind is like on Veterans Day, where we, you know, we honor our veterans, we honor our Armed Forces Day, Memorial Day, things like that. Sometimes we can do fundraisers during these periods to promote, especially like, you know, we can help out with Wounded Warrior Project or some of the other areas that we work with. What are your needs? What are the tools that you're going to require, okay, to make your program efficient? And this could be something as simple as a computer, because you got to have something to track. You got to be able to perform that 990 at the end of the year, or the what I call the dreadful UBIT, which is unrelated business income tax. The other 990 that a lot of people forget is the 990T, because some of our fundraising events that we do is unrelated to the mission of the American Legion. Okay, so sometimes that happens where that you would need. What would you like the money, or what would you like to raise money for? Be specific in the project. Be specific, okay? And would your program benefit from an endowment, okay? It doesn't happen a lot, but I do know that there are organizations that receive benefits from a will, from monies from a will, or from an endowment or foundation. Some of the things we did Stand Down in Houston. Another group that I belong to, we applied through the Texas Veterans Commission a $10,000 grant, and we won it. And it was kind of interesting. It was a lot of fun. And but so TVC has a lot of monies there that it's available to the posts. Again, you got to be very specific. You know, like I told you before, those are different types of foundations. It does have an application that's very specific, but something that is available to the post, especially if you're doing something very veteran-oriented within your community and in your city. What unique talents are represented in their program? Technology skills, craft skills, cooking skills. Don't look up mine because I'm not a cooker. But how many of us has done chili cook-offs? I know that I know one post in our area there that has a chili cook-off, and it's done extremely well. Okay, barbecue cook-offs. I don't know about you, but I watch the Barbecue Pitmasters on the Cooking Channel and also on the Science Channel. I tell you what, it's a lot of fun. In my hometown, we have what they call the Oorang Bang, okay, in a very small community of 700. And we have a cook-off there. And it's a different type of barbecue because it's pork, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of interesting, you know, people that you can go. And it raises a lot of money. So just want to let you know that there's resources there that you have to raise money. We've heard pancake breakfasts. We've heard spaghetti dinners. It works. You can raise money. Very inexpensive as far as initial costs, you know, but you can, you know, these are areas where that you can probably raise $2,000 to $3,000 in a very, very short period of time, you know, especially if you need funds within a month, within a couple of months, okay? Fundraiser resources, okay? These are your stakeholders. These are people who are genuinely interested in your activity. Stakeholders could be anywhere from the members within your post to the community. Like I said, we was talking about Boys State. Who are some of the stakeholders that we have and our future leaders? It could be your city councilors, your elected officials, to members in your own community, okay? So I know this is one area that I would like to see us grow as far as the membership in our Boys State. Here's some of your possible stakeholders, okay? If you can read it there, it's going to be you, your volunteers that is up there, okay? Youth coordinators, especially when we're talking about our youth programs. I know Tom has preached this every time I've talked to him. He loves the youth programs. So to have him on the, in charge of that, that's right up his alley, because I can tell you right now, he's one person that can really stand up and say, we got to do the youth programs, because if you do it, it will bring in membership. And I know that for a fact it does. Community members, community leaders, preparatory directors, especially as we're going into our Boys State or oratorical contest, get a hold of that debate areas there where that you can do that. And I know I'm going there, but remember, one of the things we're looking at is making an award to the recipient of our oratorical contest, such as scholarships. These are areas that we can give money to for scholarships, okay? And your local businesses. We've heard about areas there with the Chamber of Commerce. And I can tell you, here recently, it's really come out very well to join the Chamber of Commerce. I didn't know how much that they can really add to. Fundraising plan, make sure that you have time, okay? You gotta have time to plan accordingly, plan properly. The number of members it takes to put on the event, remember, try to delegate, try to get as much involvement through your membership as you can. Ties to school systems, like I said, we've got the oratorical contest coming up, and I bring this out where that you can get people involved there, and also with the Boys State programs. Make sure that your current budget will support the fundraiser activities that you're planning, okay? I would love to have $1 million, fundraiser. All of us would, but that's not realistic. You got to do it step at a time, okay? So a lot of times it just takes small steps to get it there. Also, it's kind of interesting because when I was taking the course, they also brought about the age, okay? And how the different age groups look at different areas there. We had one, a fundraiser where that we had it was called, anyway, it had the 360 bus. And it was called Gamer Bus. And we had a fundraiser where that we would, for $20, they would go up there, they have an hour to go and play and compete against each other. And it was interesting how many of our young adults thrived on that. We had a line of about 300 people waiting to play, and it's interesting how something as simple as that can really go with a different type of fundraising event. So just something that you can think about, especially if you're trying to get your younger veterans. I met one out here just while I had to go out and answer a phone. He's from New York. He's moving here. He's in nuclear physics, and he's going to be in the Corpus Christi area. So I got a member for whoever's in Corpus. I got his contact. So it's just a matter of just going out there and talking to somebody. Couldn't find out he was from the Navy. He was on the Vincent Carl, So, age group is very critical when you're doing it. What resources do you have? Okay. I didn't know that we had a resource to help us in fundraising from National until just, when we was talking about it here. All right. Find out what resources we have at department. I call Bill West a lot. okay? And I tell you what, he's got a lot of resources. He's got a lot of, within him. I'm going to be doing another one, and I just talked to Dan about just networking. I can't tell you how critical it is to network amongst people, okay? So as you do your fundraiser, you're successful, and let's say I did the, I did a successful 5K run or 10K run or what have you, or I had a successful banjo show or magic show or craft show or whatever. The last thing you want to do is say thank you. You never know what'll come across by just sending out a postcard that costs you 45 cents or 23 cents, I'm sorry. It cost me 23 cents because the person that we sent a thank you that participated in a fundraiser that we got sent us a check for $100,000. But the only reason I mention that is because a lot of times people are looking for just a simple thank you. The other thing that I like to do when I do a veteran program or whatever, Emblem Sales has these, and I give them to a lot of returning veterans, is a thank you coin. Okay? So these are areas where that you need to make sure that you say thank you to the people who are donating their time and their money. Remember, it's their money that they're giving to you. So, a simple thank you, simple postcard, simple thing goes a long ways. Now that was one extreme. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I would love to have, 25, 30 of those, but it doesn't happen. But what I can say is the next time I have a fundraiser and I need to call on somebody because one, that person's already donated once, I send them a thank you. When it comes time to ask for another donation or something like that, it'll remind them that, hey, they really appreciated the monies that we contributed. So, okay. I got about a little bit more time, but I thought this was going to take a little bit longer. But a couple things that I wanted to make sure that everybody understood is that there's specific state laws that regulate what you can and cannot do. One of them is going to be raffles. Raffles, we can only have 2 raffles per organization. That means you got 2 raffles that you can do as the auxiliary and 2 raffles for the post. And under the umbrella for the post, that includes the Sons of the American Legion and your Legion Riders. I want to make sure that a lot of people think that, well, I'm a Legion Rider, I can do 2 fundraisers, the post can do fundraisers, and the Sons can do 2 fundraisers. No. Only 2. Okay? So some of the there's laws even within communities, within the city limits, ordinances concerning fundraisers, so what you cannot do. Pretty much they all follow the same guidelines as the state does, but just in case, please make sure that you follow the rules and regulations that you have within that, your city. The other one is considered like cash donations. How many times have you heard the 50-50 draws and what have you, okay? That's great. But if you do have a 50-50 and let's say it's rained out, okay, can you do it tomorrow, the next day? It's got to be done that day. And that came from the Attorney General's office here in Austin, okay, when I asked the question. The only way that you can do it is if it's published in the little ticket that you have, where that if it's a rain date, okay, it can be delayed up to, let's say, 30 days. Max is 30 days, I believe it is. But it has to be published, okay? And this was with any kind of a prize, I should say. I know I bought a ticket for an airplane not too long, about a year ago or something like that, and they said until after all tickets were sold. Well, the problem is they didn't have a mechanism to show where they were as far as the ticket counts and what have you. So they had to redo it and set a specific date and actually do it. So the idea of going through that, they're frowning on it a lot. The Internal Revenue Service, they're also cracking down. There's been a lot of changes since the 2010 with that.